Hi there, it is Jo here from Minerva, and today I have a learn to sew video for you, crossed over a little bit with a product video. So I want to show you how to use foam as a stabiliser. Foam is often used as a stabiliser when you're bag making, if you're making storage buckets, makeup bags, anything like that, where you want your garment to be 3D and stand up on its own. Also see it used in some cosplay or some children's fancy dress if you need a feature to stand out. There are a couple of different types of foam you can use. You can use a sew-in foam or a fusible foam, but that's okay because you could mix up your foam with some quilting. You can use a spray foam to apply it. There's lots of different ways that you can apply foam to different projects. I thought about this video whilst doing a couple of different projects. So today is a little medley of techniques that I've used in lots of different projects, my slippers and a makeup bag. I'll put some frames in of when I was adding the foam and give you a few top tips. If you're finding that your pattern has a really small seam allowance, so Sally Tomato patterns, and I'm making the Mason bag today, has a really small seam allowance. It's a 1/4 of an inch. And when I'm trying to put the foam in, my foot is rocking off the foam and I can't quite keep that really small seam allowance. So to solve the problem and to make the foam application a little bit easier, then I have just added a little bit to the seam allowance. So I've cut my pattern pieces and then just added a little bit more around each one, and it's just given me a little bit more handling room. It has of course added more bulk for me, but I've just trimmed out the foam around the edge. When you cut foam, you can just use some everyday scissors or you can use your dressmaking scissors. It doesn't sort of force your blades open too much because it's really flexible. You can also cut it with a rotary cutter, but I feel I have more control with scissors. If you're cutting out your foam, so for example for a makeup bag or a travel bag or the base of a handbag, if you cut it out the same size as your garment pieces or your project pieces, then you're going to have lots of layers to join together and you'll get really bulky seams because you'll have all of that foam within the seam allowance. And sure, you can trim it out, but you'll get quite a rounded spongy effect of your 3D shape. It will look quite sort of curved in as the foam compresses. The best way to deal with it is to cut off the seam allowance so that your foam pieces are smaller than your actual project pieces. That way you can sew your fabric together and your foam will essentially, it will meet rather than having 2 layers squashed together. Even though I have cut out the actual size of the piece, I'm now going to cut off the seam allowance. Otherwise I would need a separate pattern piece to cut it out. And I'm just losing a little bit there, so I'm okay with that. I found that using a temporary spray glue has really helped to keep the phone in the correct position because I don't want it to tilt or rock and then have a thicker area in one place and a thinner area in another, especially around the edges on the seam allowance. So if you've got a can of spray foam, then that's a great way of just getting everything together, so then you can concentrate on your stitching. There are a few ways now that you can attach this foam to your project pieces. So you can zigzag your foam onto the project. The problem with that is you will then have a zigzag showing on the right side of your fabric, but if it's the bottom of a bag, then maybe you're happy with that. But you probably just want your foam to be stuck to that piece of fabric so that it doesn't move around. If you're going to do that, you can pin it in place and you can tack it in place with hand tacking stitches. That will hold it all there, and then when you sew your seams, that foam can't move around and you can pull out your tacking stitches. If you want a quicker way, you can use a temporary spray adhesive. This is Odif 505. It's quite an expensive product, but it lasts for ages and ages because you're only always ever just spraying a little thing to stick to another thing. So I've had this for about 2 years and I keep using it and it makes projects really easy. You do have to spray it outside because it's a bit smelly, and also you don't want to spray it on your work area because you'll get everywhere a little bit tacky. So I'm going to spray this, stick it to the base of my bag, and then that's my base ready. It's all prepared and I can start putting that together in whatever style bag I'm making. For my whisper slippers, I needed to put a piece of foam into a backing piece that was going to go into the sole, and here I use the temporary spray adhesive because it just held that sole in place, because I'm required to zigzag those pieces together. I put it on here, stuck it to the sole, and then it didn't move around, which is particularly useful because I was trying to sew a curved shape. Once it was stuck on with the spray adhesive, I could then manipulate the piece, make sure I hadn't got any wrinkles, but I had everything all together so that I could sew with a zigzag stitch. These will be completely enclosed, so you won't see the zigzag stitching on the outside of your slippers, and you can make these as thick as you want. So if you want to add more than one layer of foam here, you could. By zigzagging the edge, it just presses down and compresses the foam on the edge, so now I can continue to have my 1 centimetre seam allowance. So let's think about when you would use a fusible foam or a sewing foam. So you would use a sewing foam if your fabric can't take the heat of an iron to melt the glue. So for example, if you're using a leatherette, then you might use a sewing interfacing so that you're not melting anything to the fabric. Also, leatherette is quite a firm fabric anyway, so if the foam isn't actually stuck to it, it will still provide stability and you won't get a ripply fabric because leatherette's quite firm anyway. With sewing fabric, you won't get that sort of delamination over time, so how you get your finish when you make it is what it will look like for the rest of the time that you have your project in use. So once you've put the sewing foam in, that is what it's going to look like, so you know that it won't change at all. You will also use a sewing interfacing if you're going to be doing some quilting, because the quilting lines will hold the fabric and the foam together and you won't get any bubbling on the outer fabric. You can get different types of fusible foam, so you can get a single-sided glued one or you can get a double-sided glued one. So if you're making something that's lined, like a makeup bag for example, then you can laminate fabric to both sides of the foam. So that might be a useful consideration depending on what you're making. Fusible foam is really good if you've got something like a cotton fabric or a fabric that's quite light, but you can get a good press on it and you'll be able to melt the glue through the heat in the fabric. With a fusible foam, things do happen a little bit quicker. You can just get everything stuck together much quicker, so you'll find that if you've got a fusible interfacing, your project will trip along a little bit quicker because you don't need to secure the foam in place. You can just stick it on. Of course, you can use the sewing in combination with the spray glue and you'll get the same sort of thing. It will hold it in place while you quilt, it will hold it in place while you attach the layers together. So those are the differences between a sewing foam and a fusible foam. So that's 3 ways to attach your foam interfacing. You can zigzag, hand tack like with big pad stitches, or you can use a spray adhesive. You can of course eliminate all of those ways of putting your foam on if you use a fusible foam, and you can just about feel the glue on the wrong side, but you want to make sure that you don't press from the foam side, you need to press from your fabric side. That said, a little bit of heat on the foam sometimes does compress the foam a little bit, so if you're making a makeup bag that's probably fine, but if you're putting this in slippers or you don't want to lose that depth that you've got from the foam, then this way is quicker but maybe not the desired effect that you would want. With an iron-on foam, you need to make sure that you're not putting bubbles into your fabric piece so that you're getting it really flat. And you might get a little bit of delamination over time where the fabric isn't absolutely stuck to the foam, especially if you're turning something out. You can tend to kind of peel the fabric away from the foam. To stop that, you can quilt your pieces before you put them together. At first it appears that foam will be tricky to sew under the sewing machine, but actually it's really easy. You need to make sure that you've got a good needle in your machine that's matching the weight of your thread, and it's always good to do a little test piece first. You'll be surprised how many layers of foam you can get through. 2 or 3 will fit under your domestic sewing machine and it will squash down and sew, and then you can trim out any excess. I found the centre line of the bag, and then I'm using my quilter's guide, which is a little stick that goes in the back of your foot, and it means I don't have to mark out all of the fabric. I can just add my quilting stripes to my makeup bag. I'm running this guide along my original centre line stitch line. What this does is it gets a really nice deep quilting effect because you've got plenty of layers of sponge, and that will stop the fabric from coming away from the foam, because this one is the one that was laminated down with an iron. Because of the thicknesses that you're dealing with when you're using a fusible foam or a sewing foam, then you probably want to switch out for a set of clips. If you're trying to pin, you get lots of buckles in the fabric and you can't quite get the same accuracy when you're sewing. You'll find when you're sewing with foam, it does kind of all get a little bit in the way when you're sewing, but you can be quite firm with it. You can really scrunch it and press it down so that you can get your hands to the machine and make sure that you're sewing in the correct place. Just so that you can see the effect of what happens when you sew right through the foam, I've changed my stitch length to 3, so it's a little bit longer, and my seam allowance is a little bit wider because I want to make sure that I'm catching both sides. I've clipped it together, got my 2 layers of fabric in the middle and my 2 layers of foam, and you'll see that I'll get a much rigid 3D shape. You can make surprisingly strong structures with foam and firm fabric. So this one is where I sewed along the seam through the foam as well, and you can just see it's a little bit more bouncy, just plows in there at the centre, but it does mean that you get a really stiff bag. I haven't pressed that, but that can stand up on its own. You could put things inside your sewing stuff. And it's really, really firm. So you can sew through the foam, and you can see on the machine it was no harder sewing through those 2 layers of foam than if I was just sewing through the fabric. This is a little bucket storage bag made out of recycled trouser leg of a pair of jeans. The foam I have been using today has been in the Whisper Slippers by Dorata Davis, and that's created a firm sole. I've made the Mason makeup bag and a self-crafted storage tub, and the foam here has given them a real 3D shape. You can top stitch and add other details as well as having foam, and foam is really good for evening out the thicknesses of different fabrics when they're mixed together in one bag. If you're making something with structure like a bag or a glasses case or a laptop case or something like that, then you also might decide to laminate the fabric with an interfacing. So you just add a normal interfacing to your cotton fabric, and that will stabilise the fabric and stop it bubbling. And then add the foam to the back of that. That's a sew-in one. Then you're not worrying about the fabric collapsing or going wrinkly because it's already stabilised with an interfacing. In my slippers, I needed to interface all of the fabric pieces and then add the foam. That gave it much more structure, and it gives the slippers longevity because they're going to be in action and in use. Adding a foam to your projects, especially something like a storage bucket where it might collapse a little bit, it really does add a 3D dimension to your sewing projects. We hope you will come back to our Learn to Sew videos. There are lots over on our playlist over on the YouTube channel. You can click subscribe there, and there's lots and lots of playlists and content for you to explore. We'd love to see anything you've made too, so you can make a free account over at Minerva, and there you can share a photo, add a description, tag your products and show everybody what you've been up to. Thank you very much for watching, and do take care and